Greetings, Planeswalkers. You are in for a rare treat in this video. I am going to show you probably my most powerful deck. It is exceedingly simple and exceedingly powerful. This deck has taken me to Mythic rank in Standard Ranked play, and it is exceptionally fast, exceptionally cheap to create, and it owns. And I am not exaggerating. So, first and foremost, 62 cards in the 1 mana range. It is an all-black deck, by the way, if you haven't already noticed. 4 Clawing Torments, enchant artifact or creature. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets -1/-1 and can't block. Enchanted permanent has, at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. 2 Dockside Chef. I'll show you why this card is in the deck in just a second. It is essentially an enchantment creature, and you can sacrifice it or an artifact to draw a card. 1 mana. Gift of Fangs. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 as long as it's a vampire. Otherwise, it gets -2/-2. This is a depowering or killing card for 1 black, unless of course your opponent has vampires, in which case you don't use it. Okiba Reckoner, enchantment. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Exile this saga. It comes back in as a creature with menace 2/2 and gives vehicles you control menace, which there are none in this deck. Warlock Class, great card. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. For 2 black, or I should say 1 colorless, 1 black, when this class becomes level 2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. For 6 colorless, 1 black, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. Damage causes loss of life. Into the 2 mana range, Life of Toshiro, Umezawa. This is a great card. I love cards with options like this one. Target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. I put that on my creatures. Target creature gets -1/-1 until the end of turn. That's for my opponents in most cases, or I can gain 1 life. This then comes back once it transforms into a 2/3 creature that I can tap to pay 1 life and get mana. I rarely do that with this card, and I'll get to the reason why shortly. Necrosynthesis. This is also an enchantment. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. When enchanted creature dies, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is its power. Put 1 of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. And then, one of the cards I thought was extremely irritating whenever I played against it, Vengeful Strangler for 1 black, 1 colorless. You have the human rogue creature who cannot block. When it dies, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control, attached to target creature or planeswalker and opponent controls, which essentially, at the beginning of their upkeep, enchanted permanent's controller sacrifices a non-land permanent, then that player loses 1 life. So as you can see, not many cards left, but this is the card that is the cornerstone of this deck, Tatsunari Death. I remember when this expansion first came out, and I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting card. And truthfully, I tried it in a few decks, and it sucked. I didn't like it. I stopped using it. And then I had an epiphany. And that epiphany was this deck. Now, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, this is an enchantment spell. This is an enchantment spell. This, and this turns into an enchantment spell. You create Kaimi, a legendary 3/3 black and green frog creature token with whenever you cast an enchantment spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. For 1 colorless and 1 blue or green, which isn't even in this deck and I've never used, Tatsunari Death and target frog you control can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with flying or reach. This deck doesn't even need that mechanic. It's so hardcore. Following that up with the 4 mana cards, Dogged Pursuit and Enchantment. Again, losing and gaining life. The Long Reach of Night. Each opponent sacrifices a creature unless they discard a card. And then it transforms into a 0/4 menace creature that when it attacks, it gets plus X, plus 0 until the end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in defending player's graveyard. This card rarely, if ever, attacks. And then the last card, Twisted Embrace, for 2 colorless, 2 black. Enchant artifact creature you control. When Twisted Embrace enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker and opponent controls. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1. 24 land. Now, it seems like a pretty simple deck, and it is. It's an extremely speedy deck. Now, the number of lands that I have in this deck and the number of cards in this deck, it is a very high probability that you get some various or varied numbers of these enchantment spells. And if you don't get Tatsunari in the initial draw, your Warlock class with its level 2 will help you get Tatsunari out. The number of lands in this deck, and really you only need 4 mana to do anything you want in this deck. Obviously, you're going to get more than 4 mana out in the mid-game, but this deck usually destroys my opponents before mid-game. It's so quick. I think I'm going to end up posting a gameplay video of this deck because I'm saying all these things, and you might think I'm bragging, but this deck is really that strong. And it's super annoying for opponents. It certainly has lost, but it is far, far more common to beat an opponent's deck. So, my point with the lands is you're going to get about 3 swamps every initial draw. And with 3, you can get Tatsunari out. And once Tatsunari is out, all these other extremely cheap cards will be activating the each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life enchantment spell stuff. And between that mechanic, the Clawing Torment that's doing damage, the Okiba Reckoner Raid that can do damage, every time your opponent takes damage or loses a creature, more damage. And then once you get this card to level 3, they don't even realize how fast they're going to die. The Vengeful Strangler, of course, is causing damage. When they lose creatures with the Twisted Embrace, that pops the Necrosynthesis, which just pumps the cards that it's on. And these other creatures are just there to put a Twisted Embrace on in case your opponent has a big creature or some ridiculously strong mythic or rare creature. Obviously, this one and this one just add to that snowball of your opponent is losing life and you're gaining life. I will make one recommendation. If you design, and one other thing, this is the only rare card in this deck. Everything else is either common or uncommon. So easy to create this deck. I mean, I don't even think I had to use some of my bonus cards to get Tatsunari. I think I ended up getting enough of them just with opening packs. So now, I will say this. Don't buff Tatsunari while you're playing. I apologize. Reverse that. Tatsunari is who you want to buff. So if you have a Necrosynthesis, if you have Twisted Embrace, put them on Tatsunari. Don't put them on Kaimi, the Toad, because the Toad is the one that the enchantment mechanic works off of. And I don't know how many times I've been in a fight with somebody and they destroy Tatsunari, which doesn't do anything to the mechanic where they lose the life. So, watch for a gameplay video on this deck. It literally is awesome and has gotten me to mythic rank in standard. So, I hope you like it. Please subscribe. You're getting a deck build every single day for at least a month. Thanks for watching, and this is the Gamesman saying, see you later.